Hello, welcome to the Dark Side of the Library. I'm your host, Carrie Carolyn, and I'm here with my creepy co-host, Katie, and we are delighted to be bringing you books to read during the spooky season. This is part 2 of our episodes on dark fiction coming out September 2022.
Well, let me get started then. My first book of today is The Golden Enclaves, a novel. Apparently this is the final book in a trilogy. At least that's something I've read of the Scholomance trilogy, so I'll just briefly talk about it. This is by Naomi Novik, I forgot to mention, coming out September 27th, so if this is a book you've been looking forward to, hooray, it's coming out right before Halloween. The one thing you never talk about while you're in the Scholomance is what you'll do when you get out. Not even the richest enclaver would tempt fate that way. But it's all we dream about. The hideously slim chance we'll survive to make it out the gates and probably find ourselves with a life ahead of us, a life outside the Scholomance halls. And now the impossible dream has come true. I'm out. We're all out. And I didn't even have to turn into a monstrous dark witch to make it happen. So much for my great-grandmother's prophecy of doom and destruction. I didn't kill enclavers, I saved them. So I'm not going to spoil any more of the previous books for you. So if you're looking forward to the end of the Scholomance trilogy, check it out. It is The Golden Enclaves. This is by Naomi Novik.
My first book is long awaited by fans of Philip Pullman and his dark materials. This is The Collectors. It comes out September 20. It is for grade levels 5 and 6 or reading age 10 to 17 years. But we were so excited about it, we figure adults want to know about this too. It's a chilling gothic tale with a revealing glimpse of the iconic Mrs. Coulter, one of Philip Pullman's most enigmatic characters. It's a companion story to his dark materials, and now it's in print for the first time in a beautiful gift edition. In this darkly delicious tale, Philip Pullman invites readers to meet the mysterious girl who will one day become the sinister Mrs. Coulter. On a cold winter's night, 2 art collectors are settled before a fire in the senior common room of a college in Oxford, discussing 2 new unusual pieces, a portrait of a striking young woman and a bronze sculpture of a fearsome monkey. How could they imagine that they were about to be caught in the crossfire of a story that has traveled across time and worlds? That is His Dark Materials, The Collectors by Philip Pullman.
My next book is called In the Shadow Garden, and it's funny because we have this title, In the Shadow Garden, and we have a cover that is bright and vibrant, it's colorful, and it's kind of wigging me out a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute. This is by Liz Parker. It comes out September 13th. This is published by a publisher called Forever. There's something magical about Yarrow, Kentucky. The 3 empathic witches of the Haywood family are known for their shadow garden, from strawberries that taste like chocolate to cherry tomatoes imbued with the flavors of basil and oregano. Their magic can cure any heartache, and the fruits of their garden bring a special quality to the local bourbon distillery. On one day every year, a shot of Bonner bourbon will make your worst memory disappear. But the Haywards will never forget the Bonner's bitter betrayal. 20 years ago, the town gave up more than one memory. They forgot an entire summer. 1 person died. 1 person disappeared. And no one has any recollection of either. As events from that fateful summer start to come to light, there must be a reckoning between the rival Haywood and the Bonner families, but untangling the deep roots of this town's terrible secrets will expose more than they could ever imagine about love, treachery, and the true nature of their power. And again, this cover is really pretty for such a dark theme, too, with murder and mystery. So this is great for fans who love practical magic and Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe. So this is called In the Shadow Garden by Liz Parker.
My next book is getting so much attention on Bookstagram and Book Talk, And in podcasts, it's Killers of a Certain Age. It's by Deanna Raybourn, comes out September 6th. The publisher is Berkeley. So older women often feel invisible, but sometimes that's their secret weapon. They've spent their lives as the deadliest assassins in a clandestine international organization, but now that they're 60 years old, 4 women friends just can't retire. It's kill or be killed in this action-packed thriller. So Billy, Mary Alice, Helen, and Natalie have worked for the Museum, an elite network of assassins, for 40 years. Now their talents are considered old school and no one appreciates what they have to offer in an age that relies more on technology than on people skills. When the foursome is sent on an all-expenses-paid vacation to mark their retirement, they're targeted by one of their own. Only the board, the top-level members of the museum, can order the termination of field agents, and the women realize they've been marked for death. Now, to get out alive, they have to turn against their own organization, kind of like Jason Bourne, relying on experience and each other to get the job done, knowing that working together is the secret to their survival. They're about to teach the board what it really means to be a woman and a killer of a certain age. I hope they make a movie out of this starring Helen Mirren and Judi Dench, and that would be so cool. The lady that plays the Dowager Countess, but she's too old. Anyway, that's Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn, and I'm definitely going to read this one.
That one sounds basically identical to the Old Woman with a Knife, except with 4 women instead. It's like Sex and the City version of Old Woman with the Knife. So I probably will pick it up too. My next book, we accidentally snuck in a YA book, so I'll just go through it super fast because we'll probably go through it again on our YA episode. It is called The Killing Code. It's got a really cool cover. This is by Ellie Marnie, and it's coming out September 20th. This is a historical military fiction novel. World War II is raging in Europe, and on the Pacific Front, when Kit Sutherland is recruited to help the war effort as a codebreaker at Arlington Hall, a former girls' college now serving as the site of a secret U.S. signal intelligence facility. But Kit is soon involved in another kind of fight. Government girls are being brutally murdered in Washington, D.C. When Kit stumbles onto a bloody homicide scene, she is drawn into the hunt for the killer. For more about this book, listen to our YA episode, but this is The Killing Code by Ellie Marnie.
My next book is for adults, don't worry. It's Ghost Eaters, a novel. It's by Clay Chapman. It comes out September 20 from Quirk Books, one of my favorite publishers. So Erin hasn't been able to set a single boundary with her charismatic but reckless college ex-boyfriend, Silas. When he asks her to bail him out of rehab again, she knows she needs to cut him off. But days after he gets out, Silas turns up dead of an overdose in their hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and Erin's world falls apart. Then a friend tells her about Ghost, a new drug that allows users to see the dead.
Ooh.
Want to get haunted, he asks. Grieving and desperate for closure with Silas, Erin agrees to a pill-popping seance. But the drug has unfathomable side effects, and once you take it, you can never go back. I should have had a content warning for drug use. I apologize. That's Ghost Eaters, a novel by Clay Chapman, and I admit I'm intrigued.
I am too. I kind of like how simple, I just like the simplicity of having a drug called Ghost. It's just, yeah, I was like, oh, that's actually quite cool. Anyway, my next book is called House of Hunger. This comes out September 27th. This is by Alexis Henderson. It is a dark gothic fantasy novel, and this is the author of The Year of the Witchling. So Marion Shaw has been raised in the slums, where want and deprivation are all she knows. Despite longing to leave the city and its miseries, she has no real hope of escape until the day she spots a peculiar listing in the newspaper seeking a blood maid. Though she knows little about the far north, where wealthy nobles live in luxury and drink the blood of those in their service, Marion applies to the position. In a matter of days, she finds herself the newest blood maid at the notorious House of Hunger. There, Marion is swept into a world of dark debauchery. At the center of it all is Countess Lisavet, or Lisavet. The Countess, who presides over this hedonistic court, is loved and feared in equal measure. She takes a special interest in Marion. She is magnetic, and Marion is eager to please her new mistress. But when she discovers that the ancient walls of the House of Hunger hide even older secrets, Marion is thrust into a vicious game of cat and mouse. She'll need to learn the rules of her new home and fast, or its halls will soon become her grave. I wonder if this is more than, I think it's a vampire novel, I'm assuming.
I love how they just drop in the term blood maid like we know what that is. They're like, yeah, and she needed a blood maid, la la la.
Yeah.
What? What's a blood maid? I'm intrigued.
I know. I don't know. I'm wondering if she's one of those, you know how vampires tend to keep a human alive for perpetual blood and feeding? I wonder if that's what a blood maid is. Instead of killing them and draining them, it's just, drain them enough. Anyway, so this is House of Hunger. This is by Alexis Henderson.
My next book is called Ledge. It's the book 1 in the Glacian Trilogy by Stacey McEwan. It comes out September 13. Angry Robot is the publisher. It's the heart-stopping beginning to the Glacian Trilogy from TikTok sensation Stacey McEwan. After being randomly selected as a human sacrifice, instead of death, Dawson finds herself on a quest to save her people from their icy prison. In a place known as the Ledge, a civilization is trapped by a vast chasm and sheer mountain face. There is no way for anyone to escape the frozen wasteland without befalling a deathly drop. They know nothing of the outside world except that is where the Glacians reside, mystical winged creatures who bring them meager rations to survive in exchange for a periodic human sacrifice. So Dawson is an axe wielder, and she's the only remaining member of her family, and she's so far avoided the annual culling, but her luck has run out. She's chosen and ripped from her icy home, the only world she knows. No one knows what will happen to her on the other side, least of all Dawson. Murdered, enslaved, worse? But thankfully the fates align, and she manages to escape their clutches with the help of a half-Glacian called Ryan. But trust does not come easily, and she keeps a trained axe to his throat while they journey together down the slopes. Well, don't trip and fall and murder your rescuer. But who's to say that the life below will be any better than the one she has run from? Content warnings include gratuitous violence and death of a minor, suicide, and attempted sexual assault. Attempted, I'm thinking it's because she has an axe to kill you with.
Wow.
This kind of sounds like a YA book to me. I'm kind of surprised. That's Ledge, the Glacian Trilogy, Book 1.
My next book is called Leech. This comes out September 27th. It's by Hiron, Ennes, and Meet the Cure for the Human Disease. In an isolated chateau, as far north as north goes, the Baron's doctor has died. The doctor's replacement has a mystery to solve, discovering how the Institute lost track of one of its many bodies. For hundreds of years, the Interprovincial Medical Institute has grown by taking root in young minds and shaping them into doctors, replacing every human practitioner of medicine. The Institute is here to help humanity, to cure and to cut, to cradle and protect the species from the apocalyptic horrors their ancestors unleashed.
Wow.
In the frozen north, the Institute's body will discover a competitor for its rung at the top of its evolutionary ladder. A parasite is spreading through the Baron's castle. Already a dark pit of secrets, lies, violence, and fear. The two will make war on the battlefield of the body. Whichever wins, humanity will lose again. This sounds interesting, and I will probably pick it up because I actually met this person. Check it out. This is Leech. It has a really sinister cover as well. This is by Hiron, Ennes.
My next book is by comic author Grant Morrison. It is his first actual novel that doesn't have pictures in it. It's called Luda, a novel. Comes out September 6th from Del Rey. A drag queen initiates her protege into the magical arts in this phantasmagoric epic. So Lucy LeBang is a star. For decades, this flamboyant drag artist has cast a spell over screen and stage. Now she's the leading lady in a smash hit musical. But as time takes its toll, Lucy fears her star is beginning to dim. When Lucy's co-star meets with a mysterious accident, a new ingenue shimmers onto the scene, Luda, whose fantastical beauty and sinister charm infatuate Lucy immediately, and who bears a striking resemblance to Lucy herself at a much younger age. Luda begs Lucy to share the secrets of her stardom and to reveal the hidden tricks of her trade. For Lucy LeBang is a mistress of the glamour, a mysterious discipline that draws on sex, drugs, and the occult for its trans-like transformative effects. But, as Lucy tutors her young protege, their fellow actors and crew members begin meeting with untimely ends. Dun dun dun!
Whoa.
That is Luda, a novel by Grant Morrison, and it's not usually my jam, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, interesting. My next book is Oh Caledonia. This is by Elspeth Barker, and Maggie O'Farrell introduces the book itself. This comes out September 20th. In the tradition of Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in a Castle, a darkly humorous modern classic of Scottish literature about a doomed adolescent growing up in the mid-19th century. Janet lies murdered beneath the castle stairs, attired in her mother's black lace wedding dress, lamented only by her pet jackdaw. Sorry, maybe I should reread that.
No,
that was a lot. So the author masterfully evokes the harsh climate of Scotland in this atmospheric Gothic tale that has been compared to the works of Bronte's, Edgar Allan Poe, and Edward Gorey. Immersed in a world of isolation and loneliness, Barker's ill-fated young heroine, Janet, turns to literature, nature, and her aunt, Lila, who offers brief flashes of respite in an otherwise foreboding life. People, birds, and beasts move through the background in a tale that is as rich and atmospheric as it is witty and mordant. The family's motto, I am not a Latin speaker, but I will try. Moren sed invictus, dying but unconquered, is a well-suited epitaph for wild and courageous Janet, whose fierce determination to remain steadfastly herself makes her one of the most unforgettable protagonists in contemporary literature. So I still don't really know much about the book, except for Janet lies murdered beneath the castle stairs and is wearing a black lace wedding dress. So check this one out. I'm intrigued because I don't really know what's going on here, but it's called Oh Caledonia by Elspeth Barker. It comes out September 20th.
My next book is Playing with Fire, The Weird Tales of Arthur Conan Doyle. It's one of the British Library hardback classics. It comes out September 1st. It is gorgeous. It's going to look great on my dark library shelf. Tales of weird and supernatural suspense from Arthur Conan Doyle, the author, of course, best known for creating Sherlock Holmes. He wrote a remarkable number of weird and supernatural tales. This volume collects Doyle's most enduring strange stories, ranging from monster encounters and deadly hauntings to dark tales of mesmerism, and it also includes a new introduction along with his never-before reprinted essay on his own spiritual experiences called Stranger Than Fiction. This is a collector edition, Playing with Fire, The Weird Tales of Arthur Conan Doyle.
All right. My next book is called Reluctant Immortals. This will be out earlier. It's August 23rd. It's by Gwendolyn Kiste, or Kiste. So this is great for fans of Mexican Gothic. Reluctant Immortals is a historical horror novel that looks at two men of classic literature, Dracula and Mr. Rochester, and the two women who survived them, Bertha and Lucy, who are now undead immortals residing in LA in 1967, when Dracula and Rochester make a shocking return in Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco, combining elements of historical and gothic fiction with a modern perspective in a tale of love and of betrayal and coercion. This book is a lyrical and harrowing journey of two women from classic literature as they bravely claim their own destiny in a man's world. This one sounds really fun. I like it. It is called...
I'm so excited about this one.
Yeah, I like the cover on it too. It definitely has the 60s psychedelic vibe on it. So it was kind of like, oh, this is a horror novel. So check it out. This is Reluctant Immortals by Gwendolyn Kiste, or Kiste.
My next book is called Steeped to Death, a Witch's Brew mystery. I don't usually read mysteries, but it's about tea and there's a cat on the cover. I'm all in.
Cute.
So the book is by Gretchen Brew, comes out September 6th, along with thousands of other books. September 6th is like the biggest publishing day of the year.
Oh.
The publisher is Crooked Lane Books. So Phoebe Winchester's beloved Aunt Eudora has a taste for adventure and a knack for making magical tea. And I aspire to be a crazy old aunt that makes magical tea in the future too.
Oh, yay.
It's even rumored that she just might be a witch. So when Eudora passes away and leaves everything to her niece, such as her Victorian mansion, her bookshop tea store, called the Earl's Study, and one very chubby orange cat named Bob, Phoebe gets more than she bargained for, but don't we all want to have a kindly elderly aunt who passes away at the end of a long life and leaves us a Victorian house, a bookshop and tea store, and a cat? Yes. Please, sign me up.
Yes.
And she knows she's in deep when a dead man is found on the shop's back step, apparently killed while trying to break in. So two suspects immediately emerge among the townspeople of Raven Creek, Washington.
Oh.
That's our state.
Wow, that's fun.
There's village busybody Deidre Miller, who seems desperate to buy Eudora's house, and handsome P.I. Rich, one of Phoebe's childhood friends. But how well does she really know him after all these years apart? She knows she should leave it to the professionals, but she starts to dig into the underbelly of Raven Creek and begins to uncover the truth about Great Aunt Eudora. What's more, her aunt might not have been the only witch in the family, and Phoebe soon discovers she has unique gifts of her own. This sounds really cute. This would be a great rainy evening read or rainy Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And make lots of tea while you read it. It's called Steeped to Death, a Witch's Brew mystery by Gretchen Rue.
My next book is called The Tale of the Tailor and the Three Dead Kings. It comes out September 1st. It's by Dan Jones. Apparently, this is a ghost story, a medieval ghost story, retold by Dan Jones. One winter in the dark days of King Richard II, a tailor was riding home on the road from Gilling to Ampleforth. It was dank, wet, and gloomy. He couldn't wait to get home and sit in front of a blazing fire. Me either, I would be all over that. Then, out of nowhere, the tailor is knocked off his horse by a raven, who then transforms into a hideous dog, his mouth writhing with its own innards. Ugh! The dog issues the tailor with a warning. He must go to a priest and ask for absolution and return to the road, or else there will be consequences. This is interesting. So I've never heard of this story before. I'm very curious about it. It's only 80 pages long, so super quick read. It's The Tale of the Tailor and the Three Dead Kings, retold by Dan Jones.
My next book is an erotic horror book called Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke and Other Misfortunes by Eric LaRocca. It's by Titan Books. It's 3 dark and disturbing horror stories, including A Tale of Obsession called Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. A whirlpool of darkness churns at the heart of a macabre ballet between 2 lonely young women in an internet chat room in the early 2000s. A darkness that threatens to forever transform them once they finally succumb to their most horrific desires.
Oh.
The second story is a couple isolate themselves on a remote island in an attempt to recover from their teenage son's death when a mysterious young man knocks on their door during a storm.
Oh no.
And finally, a man confronts his neighbor when he discovers a strange object in his backyard, only to be drawn into an ever more dangerous game. And the last sentence of this description is, "What have you done today to deserve your eyes?" What?
Oh my god.
That's Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke and Other Misfortunes by Eric LaRocca.
I've heard he's kind of an up-and-coming horror author, and his stuff has been notoriously grisly and disturbing, so I'm actually really curious about some of his stuff. I'm going to definitely read it. My last novel for today is called Valley of Shadows. It's by Rudy Ruiz. It comes out September 20th. It is a visionary neo-Western blend of magical realism, mystery, and horror. This book sheds light on the dark past of injustice, isolation, and suffering along the U.S.-Mexico border. So Solitario, oh my goodness, my thought his life... Cisneros. I knew I knew it. I was just having a brain thing. Sorry.
We need more caffeine.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, definitely. So, Solitario lost his wife, his family, even his country in the late 1870s when the Rio Grande shifted course, stranding the Mexican town of Olvido on the Texas side of the border. He'd made his brooding peace with retiring his gun and badge, hiding out on his ranch, and communing with horses and ghosts. But when a gruesome string of murders and kidnappings ravages the town, pushing its volatile mix of Anglo-Mexican and Apache settlers to the brink of self-destruction, he feels reluctantly compelled to confront both life and the much more likely possibility of death yet again. As Solitario struggles to overcome not only the evil forces that threaten the town, but also his own inner demons, he finds an unlikely source of inspiration and support in Anawa, a gifted and enchanting Apache Mexican seer who champions his cause, daring him to open his heart and question his destiny. As we follow the two into the desert, we join them in facing haunting questions about the human condition that are as relevant today as they were back then. Can we rewrite our own history and shape our own future? What does it mean to belong to a place or for a place to belong to a people? And as lonely and defeated as we might feel, are we ever truly alone? Through luminous prose and soul-searching reflections, the author transports readers to a distant time and remote place where the immortal forces of good and evil dance amidst the shadow of magic and mountains. This sounds interesting. This is published by Blackstone Publishing. This is called Valley of the Shadows. It's by Rudy Ruiz.
So I have one more book to chat with you about this episode, but I wanted to remind you that you can go to our website, darksideofthelibrary.com, to find our show notes with our affiliate links to the books so that you can find all of the favorite ones we talked about today. So my final book is We Spread by Ian Reid. It comes out September 27, and it's a very unusual premise, and I'm so intrigued by it. Penny, an artist, has lived in the same apartment for decades, surrounded by the artifacts and keepsakes of her long life. She's resigned to the mundane rituals of old age until things start to slip. Before her longtime partner passed away years earlier, provisions were made, unbeknownst to her, for a room and a unique long-term care residence, where Penny now finds herself after one too many incidents. So initially, surrounded by peers, conversing and eating and sleeping and looking out at the beautiful woods that surround the house, all is well. She even begins to paint again. But as the days start to blur together, Penny, with a growing sense of unrest and distrust, starts to lose her grip on the passage of time and her place in the world. Is she succumbing to the subtly destructive effects of aging? Or is she an unknowing participant in something more unsettling? At once compassionate and uncanny, told in spare hypnotic prose, Ian Reid's genre-defying third novel explores questions of conformity, art, productivity, relationships, and what it means to grow old. I was so confused by this book that I looked it up on Goodreads and Book Talk and Bookstagram, and people are saying it is definitely unsettling because you're not sure if she's hallucinating or not, or if there's something supernatural going on or not. So I'm definitely intrigued. That's We Spread by Ian Reid.
And that finishes up our list of all of our adult fiction reads coming out September 2022. For more dark reads, you can join us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and our Amazon live channel at amazon.com/live/darksideofthelibrary. If you are into the Halloween aesthetic and want some inspiration for this year, we cover all kinds of stuff over on that platform, and you can chat with us as well when we do things like horror trivia. Stay tuned every Wednesday, Friday, and probably Monday at this rate for all of our podcast episodes. We will be covering YA, children's books, comics books, all kinds of stuff. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will talk to you soon.